So with the recent Gearbox panel at PAX West, we finally got the reveal of endgame content we can expect for Borderlands 4 on launch, but we also got a roadmap showing us a ton of future content coming after the launch of the game. So that's what I want to go over in this video, because there's actually so much new content and systems coming to Borderlands 4 in just like the first 6 months. So we can just go through this roadmap and go over everything we know so far. Now, one of the big things they show at the bottom of this roadmap is kind of the weekly mayhem things that are changing on a weekly basis, which are weekly big encore bosses. These are essentially a massively buffed up and modified version of other bosses throughout the game, where to fight this boss and constantly reset it with Moxxi's Encore machine, you actually need to use Iridium, but these big encore bosses will also give you a lot more loot because they're also a lot more challenging. Then we have weekly wildcard missions. These are essentially one of the missions throughout the game. I think these are specifically main campaign missions, and this is just going to be a augmented, really buffed up version of those missions specifically for the end game, where they'll have different traits. They'll all be very buffed up even for the difficulty you're in, and everybody will be doing that same mission throughout the week, so people can kind of learn in that week how to go through the missions much more effectively. Some people been comparing this to like Nightfalls in Destiny 2, and these are also going to give you a guaranteed legendary drop for the completion of that mission, and you can just run it as many times as you want. And then we have Maurice's Black Market Machine. This is a vending machine that changes location on a weekly basis, and it changes what loot is in it on a weekly basis. And this is essentially like a legendary vending machine where you can get much higher tier loot. And this was in Borderlands 3 sometime after the launch of the game, but in Borderlands 3, everybody shared the same loot in the machine for that week. In Borderlands 4, it's randomized for everybody. So if you had a really good piece of loot, you could invite your friends in so they can also get that piece of loot from that machine. This is kind of compared to like Xur from Destiny 2, except in Borderlands 4's version, it will be randomized. So it'd be like getting a randomized Xur for each different character or account. And all of these things I just went over will be cycling on a weekly basis, but we don't know if new versions are going to be coming. Like, we don't know if they will just be adding in new bosses to the encore rotation, or if they would be adding new wildcard missions where they like make a new one to change up an existing mission even more. But this is going to be content that kind of cycles on a weekly basis. So to start off, Borderlands 4 is going to be launching on September 12th, and these next 3 content updates are all going to be in the rest of 2025. So all of this is coming in the first few months of the game's launch. The first update is a free content update, which is essentially going to be the Halloween seasonal event. This is Horrors of Kairos, a seasonal mini event. It'll bring with it new legendary weapons, new cosmetics, and a new weather event for the open world, which I think will be really cool. Now, it doesn't have new boss on here. Usually with these seasonal events from Borderlands 3, we would get a new boss. So I'm wondering if they're just kind of keeping that under wraps, or if there's not going to be a new boss. It sounded like in the open world and in different areas that enemies would kind of be augmented for this event. So maybe it'll just be like these new Halloween themed augments that are used a lot more in the open world for kind of everything. That would also make a lot of sense, that they kind of just infuse the event with like a lot of the pre-existing content that can make a lot of the other bosses or enemies feel more new. Then we're getting Bounty Pack 1. This is the first paid content, and this is going to come with new missions and a boss. It's going to come with new legendary gear. It's going to come with a vault card with 24 cosmetics and 4 pieces of re-rollable gear. These are kind of like battle passes. We first got these in Borderlands 3, but you can just select what rewards you get from where. And while this is paid, the vault cards like aren't paid outside of just getting the bounty pack. And then it'll come with 1 Vault Hunter style, 1 Echo 4 drone skin, and 1 new vehicle. This also seems to be Christmas themed, so this will release around the holidays, or more specifically around Christmas. Then we're getting another free content update that's Invincible Boss 1, which is going to be a high level boss variant and arena. Now, I don't know if this is meaning there's going to be like variants of the Invincible boss, or if we're getting like a variant of an existing boss in a new arena, or if this is just saying variant because it's the first Invincible boss and that's going to be like a variant of bosses. While I wish wish there would be an invincible boss on launch. I think this is pretty good getting a free content update this quickly with them in. It's going to come with new legendary weapons, presumably from the invincible boss, and we'll be getting an additional Ultimate Vault Hunter mode level. So on launch, we'll be getting the Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, which is the endgame difficulty. There'll be 5 ranks of that. We'll get the 6th rank with this content update. So that's all coming in 2025. That's quite a lot of content in the first few months of the game. Going into 2026, in Q1 of 2026 specifically, we're getting Bounty Pack 2, which again is paid. It'll come with new missions and a boss, new legendary gear, another vault card with cosmetics and 4 pieces of rerollable gear, a new player skin, a new Echo 4 drone skin, and a new vehicle. And the biggest thing is that with Bounty Pack 2, which is paid, we will be getting a free piece of content at the same time, which is Pearlescent Rarity. So yes, early on in 2026, we are getting the free edition of Pearlescent Rarity being added with the game. And Randy Pitchford did say these would be like below a 1% drop rate, so they'll be crazy rare. And that's really all we know. We don't know if Pearlescents are going to have like different roles. We don't know how they're going to have different powers. We don't know if they're going to be based off of like legendaries, kind of how they were in previous Borderlands games. We don't know if every boss is going to have them. Pearlescent Rarity is being added back pretty early on within the lifespan of Borderlands 4, so I am very, very excited for that. Then also within Q1 2026, we are getting the first big DLC, which is Story Pack 1, Mad Ellie and the Vault of the Damned. We're getting a new Vault Hunter, we're getting new main story missions, a new map zone. Also, a new map zone seems to be a full new region. We're getting 4 regions on the game's launch, or 4 zones. It seems like we're getting the 5th with this first story pack. We're getting new side missions, new legendary gear, new cosmetics, so 4 Vault Hunter heads and styles, 4 weapon skins, 2 vehicle skins, 3 Echo 4 drone skins and attachments, and 1 Echo 4 frame. And again, this will be a paid DLC, but they specifically said that this wasn't going to be like DLC from Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. This would be DLC you would expect from like Borderlands 3, where you get a Love and Tentacles DLC. It'll be in a similar thing to that, but we're also getting a new Vault Hunter. So that'll be really cool. They also said this would be the darkest DLC of any Borderlands game. There's going to be a lot more gore. This is going to be kind of inspired by Love and Tentacles, which was a really good DLC from Borderlands 3. So if this is done well, this may be one of the best DLCs of Borderlands history. Then beyond Q1 of 2026, we're getting Bounty Packs 3 and 4, we're getting Story Pack 2, and we're getting more invincible bosses. They also say and more, so probably a bunch of gear, probably new seasonal mini events, and a bunch of other stuff. It is also nice that we know we're getting more invincible bosses, plural, for the rest of 2026. So that's the entirety of the roadmap we got, and keep in mind, that's only showing us Q4 of 2025 and Q1 of 2026. That's essentially 6 months of time that we're getting all these updates. There will probably also be smaller patches with like balance changes and stuff like that. Maybe there'll be some additional content that they don't have on this roadmap, but that is quite a lot of content for the first 6 months of the game. This is comparable or even a good amount more than a lot of live service games get. Now keep in mind, the bounty packs and the story pack are paid DLCs that you will get with the more expensive versions of the game, but we're getting 3 free content updates just in these first 2 quarters of the game's launch, and a lot of them are quite big. Invincible bosses, Pearlescent Rarity, that's some pretty big stuff to be adding so quickly on after release of the game as free content updates. So I think this has been a pretty good showing for future content we're going to be getting in Borderlands 4. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.